I watched her smile as he made grand vows, like a magician pulling rabbits out of a hat. It was exciting to see her so happy. But my heart sank when I noticed how he never kept his word. One time, he said he would take her to the fair, but instead, he just played video games all day. I felt a knot in my stomach, knowing the truth about him while she danced in her dreams. I wanted to tell her, to shout it out loud, but I stayed silent, waiting for the right time. I worried she would never see the cracks in his shiny mask. Would she ever find out, or would I just be the quiet one watching this story unfold? As I sat on that park bench, the sun shining bright, I didn't know that one meeting could flip my world upside down. Then Jake walked up. He'd a smile that could light up the darkest day. I felt drawn to him, like a moth to a flame. My heart raced. "We're going to do great things together," he said, his eyes sparkling with joy. I wanted to believe him. No one had ever made me feel this special before. But as he spoke, a little voice in my head whispered questions. What if he was lying? I'd been hurt before, and I could feel those old shadows coming back. Days went by, and I liked him more and more. I wanted to trust him. But sometimes, I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Was I just a game to him? I pushed those thoughts away. I wanted love so badly. Then, one evening, I caught him looking at another girl in the park. My heart dropped. Was he just using me like the others? I needed to know. "Jake, are you seeing someone else?" I blurted out, my voice shaky. He paused, and that pause felt like a punch in the gut. "No, of course not. You're the one I want," he urged. But I wasn't sure. Jake's vows wrapped around me like a warm blanket, pulling me closer with their sweet charm. Each promise felt like a ticket to a fun journey. A life bursting with love. I wanted to believe that his dreams were ours. But deep inside, a little voice whispered that something was off. I couldn't shake the fear that clung to me like glue. I was scared of getting hurt again. As days passed, the truth started to show. Jake's words painted a pretty picture, but I wondered if it was all just smoke and mirrors. He talked about love that felt real, but questions crept in like shadows. I wanted to trust him, but memories of past betrayals played in my mind, telling me how easy it was for someone to lie. It felt like I was walking a wire, trying to balance hope and fear. "Believe me," Jake would say, showing that charming smile while making another big promise. Each time, I felt myself sinking further into his world. I wanted his words to be true, to believe in our fairy tale. But as the days turned into weeks, reality hit hard. Desperation clawed at my heart. Was I just another part in his game? The fear of deception loomed over me, dark and heavy, overshadowing the warmth of his words. I wanted honesty, yet I found myself clinging to the fantasy he'd woven. I didn't know then that the ground beneath me was stronger than the dreams he spun. "Why can't you just trust me?" Jake snapped one evening, frustration clear in his words. "Because I've been hurt before." I shot back, my heart racing. His eyes narrowed. "You need to let go of the past." But how could I? Each smile he offered felt like a trap, and every promise sounded more like a lie. My heart raced with confusion. I was caught in a whirlwind, and I didn't know how to leave. Then, one day, I caught him in a lie. The ground moved beneath me, and I felt the world tilt. I confronted him. "Jake, you said you'd always be honest." He laughed, but it was a cold sound. "You're too caught up in your fears. Just enjoy what we have." Even though Jake's words felt warm like a hug, doubt remained like a shadow, whispering warnings I couldn't shake off. I wanted to believe him, but my heart ached from old betrayals. Each promise he made was sweet, but my fears turned them sour, making me second-guess everything. I studied him closely, looking for signs of lies. Was he honest? The more I tried to push my worries away, the stronger they became. Every laugh we shared felt soured. Every sweet moment shadowed by fear. I replayed memories of pain, remembering the times I believed in someone who broke my heart. Then, the picture of the girl I saw him with flashed in my mind like a bright red flag. Was I just a passing fancy, or did he really care for me? My heart raced. I was trapped in doubt, unable to see the truth. I wanted to believe in him, to feel safe, but the shadows held me tight, telling me that love could hurt. "I need answers, Jake," I finally shouted, my voice shaky. "What's really going on?" He looked surprised, opening his mouth to speak, but I cut him off. What if you're lying? What if I'm just another girl to you? He stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. It's not like that, I swear. But his words felt too smooth, too prepared. I took a step back, heart beating. I was walking a tightrope, and one wrong move could send me falling into despair. I can't just ignore what I saw. You need to tell me the truth, I demanded, my anger boiling over. A chill sped through me when I saw her again, the beautiful stranger who kept popping up in my head since that day in the park. She stood tall, glowing with confidence, laughing like she owned the world. Anger boiled inside me. Who was she? What did she want? I couldn't shake the feeling that she was mixed up in Jake's lies. Every time I spotted her, my heart pounded. I wanted to march over and demand answers, but fear froze me. What if she really was innocent? What if I was jumping to conclusions? But then I remembered how Jake's eyes sparkled when he talked about her. It made my stomach twist. Were they just friends? Or was it something deeper? I stayed back, watching her from a distance. It felt like I was losing my mind. The beautiful stranger seemed to represent everything wrong in my relationship with Jake. I started questioning everything he said, every promise he made. My head spun with memories of them together. It hurt. I felt deceived, and doubt clawed at me. I needed to know the truth, but the sight of her only made things murkier. I felt stuck, unsure of who to believe. Was she a threat, or just another one of Jake's targets? The uncertainty gnawed at me, and I knew I had to discover the truth before it consumed me. Why does he act like that around her? I muttered to myself, clenching my hands. I couldn't let this feeling grow any longer. I'd to get to the bottom of it. Just then, Jake walked into view, grinning. The moment he saw her, his smile widened. My heart sank. "Jake!" I called out, my voice sharp. He turned, surprised. "Hey, what's up?" he answered, oozing charm. "Who is she?" I shot back, pointing at the stranger. Jake's smile faltered. "Just a friend." "Just a friend." I pressed, my voice rising. "It looks like more than that." He paused, and in that moment, I saw the truth flicker in his eyes. The beautiful stranger laughed again, and my heart raced. I was done playing games. "I want answers, Jake." Questions ran through my mind as I faced Jake. My heart pounded with anger and deception. I'd trusted him, but now it felt like those trust problems were heavy chains pulling me down. I wanted to scream, to make him feel the hurt he caused me. This wasn't just about him. It was about me getting better. I knew I needed to learn some important lessons about love. "Why didn't you tell me about her?" I shot out, my voice steady, even though I felt like a storm inside. I couldn't let him stomp on my self-worth anymore. I'd to be clear about what I needed, even if it stung. I wanted to move on, but first, I needed answers. Jake looked away, dodging my eyes. In that moment, it hit me. This was about my growth. I'd to take back my happiness, even if it meant saying goodbye to him. I held back tears and added, "You've shown me what I don't want. I deserve better." I stood there, heart racing, waiting for Jake to say something. The silence felt heavy, like a weight in my stomach. I'd poured out my thoughts, sharing my fears. The truth hung between us, but Jake's face was like a stone wall. I knew his tricks all too well, and I braced myself for another round of mind games. "Why do you keep lying?" I asked, my voice shaky. I needed answers, but my stomach twisted at the thought of what he might say. Would he deny it again? I remembered the hurt from before, and I didn't want to feel that way again. He looked at me, a smirk forming on his lips. "You're exaggerating. You know I care about you." His words sounded sweet, but I felt anger boiling inside. How could he twist everything so easily? I realized his charm was just a cover for his lies. "I saw you with her." I shot back, my heart beating. "You think I can't handle the truth?" He shrugged, acting like my feelings didn't matter. In that moment, I understood I was just a piece in his game. The deception stung, but I wouldn't let him control me anymore. I tried to talk to Jake, but the space between us felt like a huge gap I couldn't cross. Every day, the stress grew thicker. I'd send him texts, waiting for a kind reply, but his words felt cold and empty, like a winter wind cutting through me. It was as if something was pushing us apart, like magnets that don't stick. We used to share everything. Now, our chats were stiff and awkward. I kept thinking, what happened to us? It hurt to think I might be losing someone I cared about. Our laughter, once bright, felt far away, and whispers turned into heavy quiet. I couldn't shake my fears. I felt Jake was hiding something, and the more I reached out, the more he seemed to pull away. I wanted to shout, to shake him and demand to know the truth. But I held back, waiting for the moment he'd finally talk to me. That moment never came. Instead, I faced the hard truth. Jake was slipping away. A weight settled in my chest, like betrayal wrapped around my heart. It felt like he stood on one side of a dark canyon while I was alone on the other. Desperation clawed at me. How could love turn into such a terrible distance? One afternoon, I texted him again. "Jake, please talk to me." I typed, my fingers shaking. Moments passed like hours. Finally, my phone buzzed. "Can't you just let it go?" he answered. I felt my heart drop. Let what go? Us? I don't want to lose you. Maybe it's too late, he shot back. I couldn't believe it. Anger bubbled up inside me. Why are you doing this? Are you hiding something? Silence. I could almost hear my beating. Then he responded, "I can't explain. Just trust me." Trust? The word felt like poison. You've broken that trust already. I typed back, feeling the tears prick my eyes. I need space, he said, and just like that, it felt like he pushed me further into the darkness. Every night, when the world outside fell silent, I lay awake in my bed, feeling the weight of Jake's words. They floated through the walls like ghosts, secrets meant for someone else. It felt like a punch to my stomach. I told myself it was just my mind. But deep down, I knew the truth. His soft, secret words, the ones I thought were for me, turned bitter. I remembered our laughter and the vows he made, but those memories twisted when I thought of the girl at the cafe, the one who made him smile in a way I never could. Was she the one he was talking to in the dead of night? Every time his phone buzzed, my heart raced. I lay in bed, trying to be asleep, while my mind raced with worries. I wanted to scream, to approach him, to demand answers. But fear kept me quiet. What if he rejected everything? What if I was just being ridiculous? Those late-night hours felt like a cage. Doubt wrapped around me like a thick fog. I replayed every moment with him, looking for clues. The more I listened, the more confused I became. I was desperate for the truth but didn't know how to find it. The shadows in my room seemed to grow larger, telling me that I'd to make a choice. Stay in the dark or seek the light, no matter how much it hurt. One night, I heard him whisper again. I couldn't take it anymore. I threw off the covers and marched into the living room. "Jake, who are you talking to?" He jumped, startled. "What? I wasn't talking to anyone." "Don't lie to me," I shouted, my voice sharp. "I hear you. You think I don't know?" He looked guilty, moving his eyes away. "It's nothing, just a friend." "Just a friend," I scoffed. "You smile at her like you used to smile at me." He froze, the air thick with anxiety. "You're exaggerating. You're imagining things." My heart sank. His words felt like a knife. "You're the one who's stupid, Jake. I'm right here, and you're pushing me away." "I'm not pushing you away," he snapped, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Then show it. Tell me the truth," I asked. Silence hung between us, heavy and smothering. Finally, he sighed, looking beaten. "Fine. I'll talk to her less. But I can't just stop being friends." Finally, I felt a wave of betrayal wash over me. "Friends? You call that friendship?" He stepped back, his anger boiling over. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to choose," I yelled. "Choose me or her. I deserve to know where we stand." His face hardened. "That's not fair." "Neither is lying," I shot back. The fight with Jake felt like a thunderstorm building inside me. My heart raced as I remembered our angry words, each one cutting deeper. Just when I thought I might burst, my phone buzzed. I looked down, my heart beating. An unknown number was calling me. "Stay away from Jake. He's not who you think he is." I gasped. Who sent this? Was it a joke or a real warning? Fear and anger swirled inside me. I'd trusted Jake, believed he was good. Now, this message felt like a deception. shaking my world. That night was a blur of tossing and turning. I wanted to think it was a joke, but deep down, I felt something was off. I'd to be tough. I couldn't let this kill me. I needed to find out what was really going on. The next day, I made a plan. I'd to discover the truth about Jake. I started asking friends, putting together clues. Each new bit of information painted a darker picture of him. The more I learned, the more I felt my trust falling away. It stung, but I felt a fire inside me getting stronger. I couldn't let fear rule me anymore. I'd to face Jake. I owed it to myself to get to the bottom of this. I took a deep breath and decided to approach him. No matter how hard it was, I needed to know if he was lying to me. As I walked toward him, my heart raced. Would he deny everything? Or would I see the truth in his eyes? I was ready for anything. I couldn't back down now. The truth was waiting. And I was going to find it. How could I just sit there and let doubt take over my life? I'd to find out the truth. My feelings told me something was off with Jake. His charming smile started to look more like a mask hiding something dark. I was done being his puppet. That message from the unknown sender kept repeating in my head, driving me crazy. Who was trying to warn me? I decided I wouldn't be a victim any longer. I'd strength, and I'd use it. I called my friends and started looking into Jake's past. Each story I heard was like pulling on a thread of a huge spider web of lies. I learned that Jake had a knack for breaking hearts and leaving people in tears. The more I found, the angrier I became. I knew it was time to approach him, but I'd to be smart about it. I couldn't let him twist my words or make me question myself again. I wanted real proof, something he couldn't weasel out of. It was time to flip the script. Instead of running from him, I'd chase the truth. The idea of facing Jake filled me with fire. I wouldn't let uncertainty run my life anymore. I wanted to take back my power and stand up for myself. Deciding to explore felt like the first step to owning my future. I was ready for whatever came next, even if it hurt like crazy. "Jake, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady. He grinned. "What's on your mind?" I took a deep breath. "I know about your past. You can't hide from me." His eyes narrowed. "You don't know anything. Try me." I held my ground, unwilling to back down. While I struggled with my thoughts, I knew I'd to find out the truth about Jake. I couldn't let my trust problems or past hurts stop me anymore. I needed to be brave, even if it meant facing some hard truths. I started hunting for signs. I repeated our talks in my head, looking for hints of lies. Those late-night calls and strange texts. They began to fit together like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. I felt like a detective in a mystery, discovering things that could break my heart even more. One day, I chose to follow him again. My heart raced as I followed him, fear and determination driving me forward. I felt like I was about to find something huge. Each step was heavy, but I forced myself to keep going. Finally, I saw him at that cafe, laughing with another girl. Seeing them together hit me hard. It felt like a punch in the stomach. I wanted to yell and challenge him right there. But I held back. I needed more proof. I couldn't be wrong this time. I wouldn't let him mess with my heart again. Why did I ever think Jake was different? I should have known better. When you're in love, it's like wearing blindfolds. I'd trust problems, thanks to people who hurt me before. But I wanted to believe in him. I wanted to think he was real, that his sweet words mattered. Deep down, those old scars whispered, "Don't fall too fast." Every day, worries crept in like shadows. I wanted to believe him, but when I looked into his eyes, my stomach knotted. What if he was lying? What if he was just playing a game, and I was a pawn? Then it happened. I saw him with that girl. My heart raced, and I felt dizzy. I thought I meant something to him. I thought he cared. But that moment destroyed everything. I was just another friend. The deception cut deep, like a sharp knife twisting in my chest. I wanted to scream and shout at him right then, but I held back. I needed to know for sure. "Jake," I finally yelled, my voice trembling. He turned, surprise flashing across his face. "What's wrong?" he asked, faking innocence. "Don't act like you don't know. I saw you with her." I shot back, anger bubbling inside me. He paused, looking guilty. "It's not what you think. She's just a friend." "A friend? You call that friendship?" I snapped, anger flaring. He stepped closer, but I backed away. I trusted you, I yelled. You lied to me. His face hardened, trickery creeping in. You're exaggerating. You know I care about you. But I couldn't believe him anymore. The trust was gone. My heart pounded as I realized I'd to break free from this deadly mess. No more lies, Jake. I deserve better, I vowed, turning away. The moment I turned my back on Jake, a heavy weight of betrayal hit me hard. It felt like someone stomped on my heart, breaking it into tiny bits. I'd trusted him fully, and now all I felt was emptiness. My nights turned into a blur of memories, each one a memory of how I let my guard down. Why did I believe him? I mumbled to myself, replaying his sweet words like a broken record. They'd felt so real. I thought we were special, but he was just a master at lying, telling stories that pulled me in while hiding who he really was. Every laugh we shared cut like a knife. I felt so stupid for being tricked. It wasn't love, I said out loud, trying to tell myself. It was a trap, and I fell right into it. The worst part? I not only lost him, I lost hope in myself. I'm stronger than this, I told myself, wiping away the tears. I had to tell myself that I could rise again. Each day, I gathered the pieces of my heart, determined to rebuild my life. Jake, you won't define me, I yelled into the empty room, my voice echoing back. I'd trust again, one day. The sadness of betrayal wouldn't stop my journey. Instead, it would push me to find my true self. How could I have been so clueless? I thought love was a safe place, but I found myself caught in a trap of lies. Watching Jake closely, I started to see that those sweet words I loved were really just tricks to hide his true goals. His late-night calls and sneaky smiles at his phone kept pointing at something wrong. One day, my interest got the best of me. I heard him talking quietly, his voice low and sneaky. I pressed my ear to the door, my heart racing. I couldn't catch every word, but the way he laughed and flirted told me he was sharing secrets with someone else. Those sweet nothings I thought were ours, they were tossed around like candy. With every second, my heart ached more. I felt like a stranger in my own life, sinking deeper into sadness. I had ignored all the signs, thinking he was different. But now I saw the truth. Jake was a pro at playing with feelings, telling tales that pulled me in while hiding his real game. The deception hit hard, twisting my stomach. I wanted to trust Jake, but the proof I found was like a heavy stone in my chest. Each fact I found cut deeper, making it hard to ignore what was really going on. My heart felt crushed under the weight of his lies. It was like a storm of doubt spinning in my mind, replaying every moment we shared. I thought you were different, I said, my voice shaking. He shrugged, a smirk on his face. You believed what you wanted to believe. That hurt. I felt betrayed, like he'd taken something valuable from me. As I put together the truth, I knew I had to protect myself. I couldn't keep letting him to manipulate my feelings. Enough is enough, I stated, determination sparking inside me. I'd to set limits. It was time to take back control. You can't just walk away, Jake challenged, stepping closer, trying to close the gap. Watch me, I shot back, my heart racing. I was done being a part in his game. Each step away from him felt like removing a weight, but the healing wasn't easy. Anger boiled up as I fought against the pain of what he'd done. I needed to move forward. I couldn't stay stuck in this cycle of hurt. Why did you do this? I demanded. My voice steady now. It was just business, he answered, but the look in his eyes showed he didn't care about the wreckage he left behind. I took a deep breath. This isn't just work for me. It was my heart. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving behind the poisonous love that had suffocated me. Each step felt lighter. I was recovering my power, refusing to let his greed define who I was. Good luck finding someone else, he called after me, but I didn't look back. I was ready to face my future, stronger and wiser, ready to rise from this loss. The weight of the facts had pushed me to change. Finding out about Jake's past was like peeling an onion, but this onion made me cry. Each story cut deeper. His past was filled with broken friendships and trust problems, like a dark cloud that never lifted. He pushed away the people he once loved, leaving behind wounds that wouldn't heal. When he talked about his exes, anger dripped from his words. They betrayed me, he'd say, but I couldn't help but wonder if he ever thought about how he hurt them too. A fear nagged at me. If he couldn't trust others, how could he trust me? That thought made my stomach churn. I tried to be calm. I wanted to understand him. But his past felt heavy, like a stone pushing down on me. I felt like I was on shaky ground, waiting for the next discovery to shake me again. Every story about his past chipped away at my faith in us. I wanted to believe in Jake, but uncertainty was a shadow that followed me. He'd share bits of his life, but they often left me feeling uncomfortable. Was he really capable of love? Or was he just acting? I wanted answers but found myself lost in confusion and pain. Each layer I uncovered made me desperate for the truth. Why do you keep pushing people away, Jake? I asked one night, anger spilling out. He looked away, his jaw tight. I don't want to get hurt again. But aren't you hurting me by shutting me out? I shot back, my heart racing. He paused, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of regret in his eyes. I don't know how to let anyone in. As I watched Jake, it hit me his charm was just a front for something much worse: emotional manipulation. I felt stuck in a trap he set with his smooth talk and sweet actions. At first, I was under his spell, believing every claim he made. But soon, doubt came in, and I wondered if he was just playing a game, with me as his pawn. Why are you acting so paranoid? He'd say whenever I challenged him. His words made me question everything, even my own thoughts. I began to think maybe I was the crazy one. My trust issues grew, and I felt more alone than ever, as if I was losing myself in this strange relationship. It hurt to see that he fed off my fears. When I brought up my worries, he brushed me off like I was nothing. I started noticing a pattern. He'd charm me just enough to keep me hooked, then suddenly pull away. I was left feeling confused and desperate for his love. It was like a wild roller coaster, and I was the only one in the car. Just when I thought I could trust him, he'd let me down again. As I peeled back the layers of his trickery, my heart sank with betrayal. I wanted to break free from this loop, but the fear of losing him held me back. Anger bubbled inside me, but so did fear of what I might find if I dared to discover his true self. Why do you always do this? I shouted one day, anger spilling out. Because you make it so easy, he smirked, his eyes sparkling with something dark. That moment struck me. I was tangled in his game, and I felt the weight of his greed for power. I knew I'd to find a way out before it was too late. The empowering resolve. Every time I found another lie from Jake, I felt a fire burning inside me. I'd been in a fog, trusting him totally. But now, with my eyes wide open, I knew it was time for a change. I was about to start a journey of self-discovery. I'd to dig deep and find my strength. Each new reveal about Jake hit me hard. But instead of breaking me, it made me tougher. I understood I wasn't just a victim. I could take back my life. Sure, I was angry. But that anger drove me. I didn't want to be the girl who sat around waiting for answers or asking for love. I wanted to be strong and take action. I began to see my own worth. I deserved way better than lies and deception. I took a step back to think about my life. I worked on getting stronger, both in my mind and heart. I surrounded myself with friends who supported me. I learned to love myself and put my needs first. This wasn't just about Jake anymore. It was about me breaking free from his power. When the time came to face him, I felt a rush of confidence. The fear I used to feel turned into drive. I was ready to face the truth. No way was I backing down. I was taking back my power, and nothing could stop me from going forward. Jake, we need to talk, I said, my voice steady. He looked at me, surprise flashing across his face. What do you mean? I know about the lies. I know who you really are, I stated, standing tall. His smirk faded, replaced by a look of fear. I could feel my heart rushing. But this time, it was for me. It was time to end this harmful game. I couldn't just approach Jack in a way. I needed a strong plan to show him how much he hurt me. I wasn't going to let him walk away without feeling the sting of betrayal. For too long, I let his lies twist my heart, but now it was time to flip the script. I wanted him to feel my pain. First, I became a detective. I talked to friends who knew him, gathering stories about his sneaky ways. Each tale proved my worst fears. Jake was a pro at lying and tricking people with his charm. My anger bubbled up, but it also made me feel strong. This was my moment to take back my power. I planned out our showdown. We'd meet in the park where we first fell for each other. It was the best place to expose his true self. I could picture the shock on his face when I dropped the truth bomb. I'd keep my cool, but my words would slice through him like a knife. I wanted him to feel all the confusion and heartbreak he caused me. As I got ready, my heart raced with fear and joy. I wouldn't let him mess with my feelings anymore. I was done being the dumb girl he played with. I was ready for my revenge, and I wouldn't back down. When the day arrived, I walked to the park, my heart racing. There he was, leaning against a tree, looking like he owned the world. "Jake," I said, my voice steady. "We need to talk." He smiled, thinking he could charm his way out of this. "What's up? You look serious." I stepped closer, my eyes locked on his. "You think you can just lie and influence everyone? I know everything." His smile faded. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out the evidence messages, stories, everything. "You're a liar, and it's time you faced the truth." He looked shocked, and for a moment, I felt strong. "You're just trying to make me look bad." He stuttered. "No, Jake. You did that all by yourself." I took a deep breath, ready to release the fury I'd bottled up. "I won't let you hurt me anymore. You think you can walk away unscathed? Not this time." His face twisted in anger. "You're making a mistake." I stood my ground. "No, you made the mistake. I'm taking back my power, and you'll remember this moment." The tension crackled between us. I could see the truth hit him. He was losing control, and for the first time, I felt free. The weight of treason was heavy, but I was ready to carry it. "Goodbye, Jake," I said, turning on my heel and walking away, feeling lighter with every step. I'd faced my fears, and it felt amazing. I felt a buzz in my chest as I walked to the park. It was like a storm was building inside me. Today was the day I'd face Jake, the guy who'd promised me everything but gave me nothing but heartache. My heart raced, reminding me of all the times he played with my feelings. What would he say when I told him what I knew? Would he lie again? Or would I finally see the truth in his eyes? I could almost picture his lovely smile, the one that had fooled me before. But now, it looked like a mask hiding something dark. I'd spent days gathering proof of his lies, and I was ready to use it. As I got closer, I imagined how I'd expose him. My hands were sweaty, but I couldn't back down. I needed to take back my power. I wanted him to feel the sting of betrayal I'd felt. The park was where we once shared hopes and laughter, but today, it felt like a battleground. I could sense the tension growing. I was ready to face him, ready to show him the truth. With every step, my anger gave me strength. I wouldn't let him control me anymore. This time, I was calling the shots, and I was determined to make him understand the hurt he'd caused. Then, I saw him. Jake stood there, looking relaxed, but I knew better. "Hey," I said, my voice steady. "We need to talk." He turned to me, a smirk on his face. "About what?" I took a deep breath, my heart racing. "About your lies. I know everything." His smile disappeared, replaced by a look of surprise. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out the proof, shaking it in front of him. "You think you can just walk away without consequences? You're wrong." His expression changed, and I felt a rush of triumph. "You don't get to treat people like this, Jake. Not anymore." He opened his mouth to reply, but I cut him off. "No excuses. You hurt me, and now it's time for you to face the truth." As the words hung in the air, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The storm inside me began to calm. I was done being a victim. The moment I walked into the park, everything felt different. My heart raced like it was trying to escape. This was where it all started, but now it felt like a fight was about to break out. I'd spent days wrestling with my trust problems, haunted by past betrayals that stung like wasps. Each step toward Jake made my stomach twist with anger and fear. I spotted him on our regular bench, looking relaxed, like he didn't have a care in the world. I took a deep breath, my legs weighed down by doubt. I wanted to face him, to shout out the secrets that threatened to drown me. But what if he flashed that charming smile and made me question myself again? "Hey, can we talk?" I managed to say, my voice steady, though I felt like I was about to fall. He looked up, surprise flashing in his eyes. "Sure, what's up?" he answered, trying to sound casual, but I could feel the tension in the air. I clenched my hands, battling my emotions. I know about her. The words burst out like cannonballs, heavy and hard to ignore. His face changed. I saw fear flicker in his eyes. In that moment, I realized I wasn't the naive girl anymore. I was taking back my power. The park, once a place of dreams, now reminded me of my strength. I wouldn't let him hurt me again. Who do you think you are? I pressed on, unwilling to back down. He opened his mouth, but no words came. I could see him fumbling for an excuse, but I wasn't letting him off the hook. You lied to me, Jake. You played with my heart like it was a toy. I didn't mean to. He started, but I cut him off. Save it. I'm done with your lies. You thought I'd just sit back and take it? My voice rose, echoing in the tense air. He looked taken aback, and for a moment, I could see the mask slip. I'm sorry, he finally said, but it felt empty. No more apologies, I shouted. You don't get to hurt me and then act like it's nothing. The park felt heavy around us, but I stood my ground. This was my moment, and I wouldn't let him take it away. I turned away, leaving him behind, ready to recover my life. My heart pounded as I faced Jake. I was done letting his lies control me. Jake, I know about the girl, I said, my voice steady even though I felt like a storm inside. This was it, I was taking my power back. Your lies have consequences, I added, my eyes locked on his. I could see the shock on his face, and for the first time, I felt strong. I wasn't just some piece in his game anymore. I was ready to stand up for myself. You can't keep playing with people's hearts, I declared. Each word felt like a weight dropping. I wanted him to understand how much he'd hurt me, how his deception had cut deep. This meeting wasn't just about him, it was about me growing up. I'd learned tough lessons about love, and I knew I deserved better. I was done with the trust problems and the heartbreak. No more would I let his decisions define who I was. I'm moving on, I said, my voice firm. I was no longer the girl who believed in empty promises. I was stronger, and I wouldn't let his lies hold me back. My heart may have been hurt, but it was ready to heal. As I turned to leave, I felt a rush of relief. I was reclaiming my story, my power. I'd rise above this mess, and he'd have to face the truth of his acts alone. Walking away from Jake felt like tossing off a heavy blanket I didn't even know I was carrying. I finally saw the truth. He'd been pulling the strings in our relationship. I'd let him control my feelings, but not anymore. With each step I took away from him, I felt lighter, almost free. My heart hurt, but I knew I'd to be tough. Jake, your sweet words were just a cover-up, I said, my voice steady. I see through your lies now. I had been stuck in his trap, where my feelings didn't matter at all. I'd trusted him fully, but that trust was built on a mountain of deceit. Every day with him made me feel smaller and weaker. Now, with every step away from him, I felt the change. I'm done being the victim. I vowed to myself, I won't let him define who I am. The sting of deception cut deep, but it pushed me to fight back. I learned I could choose to be strong. I could choose to rise above the pain. Facing what had happened wasn't easy. I had to face my fears head on. But in that moment, I saw the power I held. You won't crush me, Jake, I whispered under my breath. I'm taking back my life. I'm ready to stand up for myself, I yelled as I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. My heart raced, but I felt alive. As I stood at the park's edge, my heart raced. I was about to face my fears, and I felt a mix of fear and drive. I couldn't let Jake's lies rule me anymore. It was time to take back my power. With every step I took toward him, it felt like climbing a steep mountain. I remembered all the times I'd held back, letting his charm blind me. I'd been scared of losing him, scared of being alone. But now, I understood that facing my fears meant I could finally be free. My heart beat, not just with fear but with hope. I'm done with your games, Jake, I screamed, my voice steady. The words felt like fire. You can't keep lying to me. He turned, surprise flashing across his face. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. I know you've been lying. I stepped closer, my hands clenched. I wouldn't back down now. Jake smirked, but I saw the crack in his confidence. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I would. I shot back, feeling stronger. I deserved the truth. In that moment, everything changed. I wasn't just confronting him. I was confronting my life. I felt powerful, ready to reveal his deception. No longer would I be a pawn in his sick game. Why did you betray me? I asked. Was it worth it? He paused, and I could see the wheels turning in his mind. You wouldn't understand, he said, but I could tell he was losing ground. Try me. I dared, my heart racing. I was ready for whatever came next. I'd speak my truth, no matter the result. I was regaining my voice, my heart, and my future. The moment I faced Jake, my heart pounded like a drum. I was furious but also eager for answers. Why did you lie to me? I demanded, my voice shaking. The anger mixed with hurt twisted in my stomach. I felt betrayed, and all the trust I thought we'd collapsed before my eyes. It was like the ground had moved beneath me, and I couldn't ignore the truth any longer. After that meeting, everything changed. I was on a journey to find myself again. I had to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. Love? It felt like a terrible joke. Why did it have to hurt so much? I whispered to myself. I knew I had to face my own feelings, not just Jake's lies. I needed a plan to heal. I started writing in my book, pouring out all my thoughts. What went wrong? I asked myself. Each word helped me see the truth I deserved better than lies and deception. I felt stronger with every page I filled. It was time to move on. As I took steps forward, I realized this wasn't just about anger. It was about regaining who I was. You can't have my heart if you're going to break it, I stated, feeling a spark of power. I learned that while Jake might have offered me the world, I was the one who owned my own strength. I was ready to turn the page and start a new chapter in my life, one where I wouldn't let anyone influence me again. Picking up the pieces of my heart was hard, but I was ready to take back my life. After everything Jake had done, I couldn't let his lies steal my strength. I felt broken, but I knew I had to fight back. Trust issues hung over me like a storm cloud. I wouldn't let fear rule me anymore. I started with small steps. I reached out to my real friends. They told me that I mattered. I focused on taking care of myself. I found joy in the things I loved again. Each little moment felt like I was healing. I even began to write down my thoughts, letting all the hurt Jake caused spill onto the page. With every word, I felt lighter. I wasn't just a victim. I was a fighter. I learned to trust my gut again. I started setting boundaries. No one would walk over me anymore. I won't let you treat me like that, I announced one day, standing tall. It felt good to say no when I needed to. I wanted a life where love wasn't a game. I wanted honesty, not tricks. As days went by, the scars from my sadness slowly faded. I learned that love could be wonderful, but it could also be dangerous if the wrong person had it. I told myself I'd never ignore my instincts again. I was taking back my life, and this time, I wouldn't back down. Not for anyone.